It's still 90 degrees out, but I really wanted to be outside, at least for a little bit today. So, today's video: what you tolerate, you perpetuate. I heard these words said, and I couldn't stop thinking about them and reframing it in mind towards finances. Sometimes words just stick with me. What you tolerate, you perpetuate. Now, there are some things in life that we do have to tolerate. So there's always growing pains when you start a job. And if you decided to quit for every new thing you started and not tolerate the discomfort, that wouldn't be a good thing. Sometimes you have to go through the growing pains. And you have to, well, it's in your best interest to continue so that you can support yourself. But there are other things that we tolerate that we shouldn't. And so when we tolerate things that we shouldn't, we normalize them. It becomes something that we just do. And if it sticks around long enough, it becomes our way of life, how we operate. And so we tolerate and we perpetuate. So let's go through what this means financially. So I have a few written down. If you tolerate debt, you perpetuate a life of payments, interest, financial stress. Even if it is low interest payments or manageable debt, it still weighs heavy on the individual. And it does create a cycle of tolerating a lifestyle of payments. So I have a story with this one. Last weekend, I stayed at my sister's, and I don't know how the topic came up, but she said to me, "You're not going to like what I did." And I said, "Well, what did you do?" And she's like, "You're not going to like it." And I said, "Okay, what did you do?" She said that she got herself a new iPhone and she put it on a payment plan, but it was 0% financing. And I said, "Okay, it's not the worst, but you're right, it's not for me." Because while in theory, having 0% interest on a phone plan may mean that you can have your money growing on the side somewhere else and investing it in the market, or investing it and getting interest on the money, that's not what tends to happen. People tend to instead buy the next thing and then use the money that they have for something else. And so I do not tolerate for myself a lifestyle of payments. I do not tolerate debt because I would perpetuate the problem and it would become a cycle in my life. So while in theory, even 0% interest looks good on paper, in practice, it doesn't always work out that way. People get themselves into trouble with adding more and more payments. And before they know it, they have a mountain of debt and financial stress on their shoulders. So the next one is, if you tolerate disorganization, you perpetuate missed opportunities. Maybe you're not opening your bills, or you're missing opportunities to use coupons, or maybe you're even letting your money sit idle in a bank account where you're not having it grow for you and compound. You're missing opportunities and you're perpetuating this. If you tolerate a lifestyle creep, if you tolerate overconsumption, if you tolerate a shopping addiction, you're perpetuating the feeling of never having enough. So you're spending more, even as you're earning more, and you are perpetuating missed opportunities to save and invest your money. You're spending it away. You're tolerating it. The next is, if you tolerate financial avoidance. Now, this is a big one. Avoidance breeds anxiety. We know this. So you're perpetuating the problem if you are tolerating avoidance. You perpetuate the stress that comes with uncertainty, without knowing what's going on, without looking over your bills, seeing and uncovering your budget. You don't know where you stand. So people always tell themselves they'll do it later. And if later never comes because you continue to perpetuate it, you're tolerating it. And the next, if you tolerate mindless spending, you are perpetuating the distance from you and your goals. You are spending your money. And sometimes it's really not the big purchases that get people, it's the constant little splurges. They add up to clutter in our lives. So, even a small spending problem that goes unchecked and you're tolerating it can snowball over time. And I want to talk about this one because when spending becomes accumulation, several months back, I think it was about 6 or 7 months back, I did a video on storage units or storage wars, something of that nature. And I go into detail about how much clutter we have in our lives, how much money is being lost to storage unit, how much it's costing us. One out of every 11 one out of 11 homes has a storage unit, but the average size of the home has grown more than 200, it's almost 300 times since the 1950s. Most homes have garages, and 25% of those don't have a car in them because they're cluttered and stuffed with stuff. In fact, we have 3.2 billion square feet of storage unit space in the US. 3.2 billion. That is enough to house every US citizen, giving them 7 square feet of storage space. That's insanity. So, tolerating mindless spending doesn't just affect your bank account, it shows up as clutter in your life that you don't want to see, and then you move out of your surroundings into these storage compartments. I don't know who is accredited with saying, I believe it was the minimalist, but the average home has 300,000 items in it. I think they're counting down to the paperclip, but 300,000 items. So we buy more than we need, keep more than we can use, and then pay to store what no longer fits in our homes, all while telling ourselves we don't have enough. So the truth is, it's not just a spending problem. It's a toleration problem if you're living paycheck to paycheck. And the longer you let it continue, the more normal it's going to feel until clutter becomes the background noise, debt becomes routine, and financial peace becomes something you just dream about. But here's the thing, we talked about what you tolerate, you perpetuate, but what you interrupt, you can transform. That's the flip side. So start tracking, start budgeting, start questioning every purchase that you make. Do you really need it? Is there something that you have out of the 300,000 items in your home that can replace what you're buying? Is there something in your closet that you can use instead? Is it a fleeting want or a lasting one that you're purchasing? Because if it isn't, it's just not worth it. So start saying no because it's not serving you. Every time you choose to do something different or something differently, more intentionally, you're rewriting the pattern. I always like to say that you can always start with small steps, small corrections. And if you can do them consistently, even if it is decluttering and spending less, a little bit at a time, it is going to compound and it will lead to massive change over time. Keep thinking about that. What you tolerate, you perpetuate. But what you interrupt, you transform, and that can transform everything. Anyway, let me know what you think about what you tolerate. You can transform. I know it goes into more than just money, but this is a personal finance channel and retirement. What you tolerate, you perpetuate. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one.